Hi, I'm Neha Matthews, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Over the last few days, regions across North India have found themselves subjected to highly polluted air, with the situation only getting marginally better on Monday. Schools in the NCR region, including Noida, Gurgaon, Faridabad, and Ghaziabad, were ordered shut till November 5th by local administrations in line with the Delhi directive. Delhi has also rolled out the third edition of its odd even road rationing measure for the 12-day period starting Monday. The Environment Pollution Prevention and Control Authority in NCR has observed that light rain will be expected on November 7th, which may see air quality dip once again. On this episode of Three Things, we dive into North India's pollution crisis, discussing how exposure to these high levels of pollution affect the health of adults and children, and the Supreme Court directives on Monday to help curb this crisis. But first, Shivam Patel, who writes on the environment for the Indian Express, talks about the issue of stubble burning and why farmers are finding it hard to shift to alternatives. First, Shivam starts by explaining that the pollution problem is not just limited to Delhi NCR, but affects large swaths of North India.
So stubble burning happens in Punjab, Haryana, parts of Uttarakhand, parts of Western Uttar Pradesh. It's different, but mainly the main concentration is in Punjab and Haryana, right? And the air quality over there also gets really bad during this period, around the last week of September towards early weeks of November. Because of stubble burning, a lot of respiratory illnesses increases in people who are living near the stubble burning areas. And there's a lot of pressure created in hospitals. The air quality also deteriorates. So on my recent visit to Punjab, this last Friday and Saturday, I found out that the air quality index, it's in moderate to very poor category, which is also not very good.
Although air pollution is a complicated problem caused by a combination of factors, construction, vehicular and industrial emissions, the fact that these areas are landlocked, low wind speed, lower temperatures, this particular severe pollution event over the weekend could be attributed to stubble burning. Many farmers in northwest India typically burn the crop residues such as paddy and wheat on fields after harvest season to prepare their fields for subsequent planting. Shivam explains why this stubble burning is probably causing this particular episode of severe pollution.
So PM 2.5 is a result of burning. So if anything is burned, the pollutant released from that mainly is PM 2.5. And PM 10 is mainly concentrated to construction activities, so dust released from construction activities and such. So it's mainly dust. PM 2.5 was recorded this Sunday when air quality level deteriorated very severely, was above 500, so it was 560, which is above the emergency level of 300.
It was a record high for us.
It was a record high. Emergency level is 300 and it's 560, then that's clearly a lot. So we could say that the pollutants in the air, large percentage of them was PM 2.5. And since we know that, PM 2.5 is released from burning, it could be said that they are from burning. But how much contribution is of stubble burning, that is obviously debatable. Lots of studies have shown that, stubble burning does have an impact on Delhi's air quality. But authorities in Punjab and Haryana claim that, it's not affecting as much as Delhi's local sources itself.
When it comes to this problem of stubble burning, I think Punjab Chief Minister Amrinder Singh also claimed that his government has initiated action against close to about 3,000 farmers. So in your conversations with farmers in the Sangrur area, what did you learn about why the problem of stubble burning continues till date?
It's a multi-layered problem from what I understand, because the first main issue that a lot of people spoke to me about is the fact that the machines are expensive, machines that are alternatives to stubble burning. They are expensive, and small and middle-scale farmers cannot afford these machines. So I spoke to some small middle-scale farmers, and they said sometimes they're not able to earn enough to survive throughout the year for the entire family. Which, if they're not able to do that, then how will they buy the machines? That's what they said. And the other problem is that the machines, the subsidy provided on the machines are only based on machines from a few select manufacturers, right? Now, some people claim that that is unfair because as a result of that, the price of machines are really high. If the market was opened up to more companies and the farmers were allowed to purchase machines from any of these companies and get a subsidy on them, then the price would be brought down and farmers would be able to, buy more such machines and not burn stubble, but use these machines to manage the stubble. So obviously, this is one of the other thing which I did not mention in my story, which I intend to explore more further, is the government buys a paddy on a fixed rate. So there's a MSP for paddy, but there are other crops which do not have an MSP. For instance, sugarcane, maize. Farmers are saying if an MSP was set on that, then they would probably plant more sugarcane and maize than paddy, because paddy is itself affecting their groundwater levels. It uses, it's a very water-intense crop, right? So it uses a lot of water, because of which groundwater levels are going down as well.
MSP was to be provided on these, they would be burning less, you're saying? There'd be leftovers.
Yeah, so they would not be planting paddy as much, which will obviously reduce the straw.
I wanted to ask you about also, there's an incentive that the state government gives farmers who don't indulge in stubble burning. Do the farmers feel like this is enough, or is it just being given to a very small number of farmers in Punjab?
The government at present does not give an incentive to farmers. I spoke to some officials in the agriculture department, and they said if the farmers are given an incentive, for instance, of rupees 100 per quintal of paddy bought by the centre, then that they can use this incentive to manage the straws instead of burning it. So I asked farmers what would they do with this incentive, and they said they could use it. If they are not able to afford to buy the machines, then they can rent them. From what I understand, what the farmers want is less expensive machinery. So if the subsidies are provided on not just a few select manufacturers, but machines from all the manufacturers in the market, provided they have a GST number, then that will bring down the prices. And farmers are willing. Farmers have told me that they do not want to engage in stubble burning because it affects their family as well. Before it affects Delhi's air, they have to breathe all of that. And they are suffering. Their families are suffering. They have respiratory problems, but they don't have an alternative.
This severe pollution event has made authorities sit up and take notice. While this is a state government issue, we also saw the central government getting involved.
So the Prime Minister's office recently called a meeting, right? It called a meeting on Sunday. So in the meeting, it was discussed that all three states, Haryana, Punjab, and Delhi, should take measures to control their air quality, right? Which is deteriorating in all three states. And several directions have been issued, such as controlling construction activities. Obviously, there's a lot of emission of dust from construction activities. The local government itself in Delhi, the Chief Secretary of Delhi chaired a meeting this morning. He's asked all the district commissioners to an hourly monitoring of pollution in their area and figure out hotspots where the concentration of pollutants is higher than other areas and take action on controlling polluting activities there. Obviously, the Graded Response Action Plan is still in force in Delhi, and it will remain in force for, I think, 11 more days. It could be extended as well. And under GRAP, there are several measures that are already on ground right now, like mechanized sweeping of roads and sprinkling of water and everything to control the emission of dust. Open burning of waste so all the local municipal corporations are doing night patrolling. The Delhi Pollution Control Committee is doing night patrolling to control all the open burning and unauthorized disposal of construction and demolition waste. So these are measures being taken to control air quality in Delhi.
Okay. Next, Asta Saxena, who covers health in Delhi, and Sukrita Barua, who covers education in Delhi, join me to talk about how the most vulnerable population, children, are being affected and how schools in the capital are taking precautionary measures. So, Asta, in all this conversation about the severe pollution season in Delhi NCR and the northern region of India, we forget that maybe the most vulnerable group of the population is children.
Right.
So in all your conversations with doctors across the city, what did they tell you about how this, exposure to high levels of pollution is affecting children?
So while talking to the doctors, they informed me that the pollution is not only affecting the age group 5 years or 7 years, it is starting when the baby is inside the womb. So the mother, whatever she is eating, whatever she is drinking, it's going to the baby. And the air we are breathing, it's going to the baby. So that means the pollutants, 2.5, PM 2.5, the gases is going inside and it is affecting the growth. The lung growth, maybe it can have an effect on the neurodevelopment of the baby and of course the overall development of the body. So we have these airways in our lungs. So the diameter of the airways is quite small. So these PM 2.5 particles are very thin. So these particles manage to go inside our airways and then they affect our lung growth. So maybe we will be having more cough, more breathlessness, and we will be, not reacting normally to the medicines. And this starts at the age of even 1 month, 2 months. So even infants are affected, and they are complaining about breathlessness, coughing, sneezing, and they are coming to the hospitals.
Okay. And they're seeing, I think, like you mentioned, there's an increase in the likelihood for cancer, cardiovascular diseases also, right?
Yes, cancer, cardiovascular disease, COPD, asthma, respiratory illness, all of this is on a higher
dangerous
side.
situation.
Yes, of course.
When you were talking about to get the gravity of the situation, what did doctors have to say about the number of children coming in? Is there a link to pollution season?
So nowadays, the doctors are saying, since we have been talking about it for the last 5 years, they are saying the pollution is there throughout the year. It's just that the gravity increases in just few months. So these 3 months, like when the pollution is high, the number of children coming to the hospitals will increase by 30%, by 40% also. But it's not that the entire they are not coming, because the entire year we are breathing unhealthy air. Of course, maybe we are not following the higher standards, but they are above the permissible limit. So this time, most of the doctors I spoke to, they are saying it's the need that we should focus on the entire year and not just 3 months. So efforts are needed to take precautionary measures throughout the year to protect the generation that is coming in the next few years. So maybe 30-40% in these 3 months, but 10 to 20% cases will be coming in the previous months also. So 40% of the patient coming to the emergency department are during the pollution season, and 50% of them are the children. And several patients also require admission. They are also admitted to the ICU of the hospital. And children are more prone to such diseases because pneumonia, one of the most important causes of death among children, is caused due to the worsening of health during air pollution also. So the doctors are saying we are also concerned about these children who are complaining about pneumonia during pollution season. It's not only respiratory illness, but the above diseases also.
And Sukita, you've been reporting on education. You talked to a bunch of school teachers, principals. What did they have to say about how schools are tackling, taking precautionary measures to help children? And they also seem to have a sort of different view on whether schools should be shut down during pollution season. Could you tell us about that?
Schools started taking precautions regarding children having respiratory illnesses since around 10 years back, because there was a very tragic incident in which a class student had died when she had an asthma attack in school. So this is before the air pollution panic had begun, but that's when schools started gearing up, keeping nebulizers and keeping other respiratory aids in schools. So if you visit most schools in Delhi now, most private schools, they will be having at least one nebulizer on standby in case anything happens. Most schools over the last 3 years, they've started putting air purifiers in their classrooms. They're taking smaller steps like putting air purifying plants and so on. They're realigning their calendars to make sure that sports days, which usually take place during October, November, are now concluding earlier. So the entire school system is trying to realign itself around this pollution crisis. So over the last few years, a pattern that we're seeing is when it gets really bad, the government closes down the schools for less than a week. That happened in Delhi, and now it's been followed suit in Ghaziabad and Noida as well. It's more of a reassuring thing, I think, something that gives reassurance to parents. Some of the principals I spoke to were not that optimistic about this, because what they point out to is that it comes with the assumption that students are coming from homes where they'll get that kind of protection, where they live in closed homes which are sealed well enough, which have air conditioners, which have air purifiers, where there are caretakers to make sure that they stay indoors during the hours that they wouldn't be in school. Whereas a lot of students might have both parents going out for work, might be living in slum clusters, might be living in more vulnerable situations, in which case it might be safer for them to be in school, where they'd be more engaged and where it'll be more suitable to keep them indoors. And in any case, like a lot of studies have shown, it's not like the air indoors is very safe either. So some principals are of the opinion that this seems like more of an alarmist and knee-jerk reaction to the situation than a more sustainable measure.
Taking up the issue of air pollution in Delhi, the Supreme Court on Monday banned all construction activities and garbage burning in the National Capital Region with a fine of Rs 1 lakh and Rs 5,000 respectively for those violating the order. In a stinging observation, the court said state governments should be held legally responsible for allowing people in neighbouring places to die. The Supreme Court is considering the report submitted by the Environment Pollution Prevention and Control Authority, a panel it had appointed, on Delhi's pollution, and also taking up issues like stubble burning in Punjab and Haryana. As per the centre's affidavit, crop burning had gone up by 7% in Punjab, but reduced by 17% in Haryana. It also observed that Gram Pradhans, police personnel, and local officials who do not control stubble burning should be removed from their posts. You were listening to Three Things by the Indian Express. Today's show, as always, was edited and mixed by our producer, Joshua Thomas. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.